front page news for weeks. Because remember, going back to Dan Quayle just misspelled the word potato, and they didn't let him live it down. But Obama gets a free ride no matter what's going on. I think he just stepped too far when he was commenting on this incident with the police officer the other day. I think that this might, with everything else, and as you said, Alex, all his promises are turning into fiction at this point because he talks out of both sides of his mouth, but that's not why I'm there. I'm there to enforce the U.S. Constitution. I'm there for the 305 million people in this country who deserve to know the truth. I'm there for our forefathers, and I'm there for the 1.5 million men and women who have died over the years fighting in various wars to protect our Constitution. And in addition, there's another 1.5 million who are wounded. So that's over 3 million men and women have died or been wounded fighting to protect this Constitution, which Obama is trying to tear apart.
You know, Mr. Berg, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but were they planning this so they can then have to have an amendment to make a foreign-born president for Schwarzenegger? I mean, if they knew he was born in Kenya, and this was so unbelievable for me that I had trouble, even though I know you're a credible person, in really getting my mind around this. And then as the cover-up expanded, and now they won't release any of his college records and his foundation records and his mother's records and his father's records, and they guard them like it's the Kennedy assassination, records or something. I mean, they're certainly acting suspicious, and now they're on TV going, we're scared. These crazies won't listen to us. We've given them the records when they haven't given us the records, and they would have just released the stinking birth certificate and this cover-up of saying they have released all his records when it's not true. I got to tell you, Mr. Berg, I will take my time making a decision about something. And if I'm not sure, I'll hold back. But in time, in the fullness of time, hindsight's 20/20, as they say, I got to tell you, my gut and all the intellectual evidence tells me he was born in Kenya. It fits in with his dad, the madrasas, growing up in Indonesia, his real name's Barry Soetoro. Everything about this guy is fake. How could the CIA, how could the Justice Department, how could the government let him become president knowing this would come out?
Well, first off, I've been advised by some high people over in Britain that our FBI and CIA know the truth about him, but there's no reporting. When you run for president, there's nobody you have to check in and show that you are who you are. But think about it. He's committed fraud in every one of the states unless he can show us documentation that he has legally changed his name after being adopted in Indonesia. By signing his name as Barack Hussein Obama, that would be fraud.
Stay there. Yeah, again, you're a great legal mind. He's done hundreds of things. We'll cover them when we come back. All right, as usual, folks, I'm just ranting because for a year or more I've been looking and studying the birther issue, and you have scales. And early on, there was more evidence that he was born in Kenya than that he was born in Hawaii, and having a fake name and covering up his history and saying he doesn't have Muslim roots. I'm not saying that's bad, but lying about it, now saying he does have Muslim roots and saying he's a Muslim on TV and speech after speech and saying it was an accident later, probably done on purpose. And just all his deception and covering up the college records. But Attorney Phil Berg has gone over the Constitution, Bill of Rights, him lying on entrance forms. You were getting to that, Mr. Berg, the first lawyer to speak up, the first guy to file suits. You were getting into all the lies we know he's told, how you were saying he should be prosecuted for fraud. Get into that.
Well, I think, first off, let me say this. Significant is the fact that this has been around on the Internet for over 2 years. Significant is the fact that in June 2008, 2 months before I got involved in this, on the Obama campaign website, they put this document, which they keep trying to say is a birth certificate. It's not. It's a certification of live birth, and our expert has determined that it's on our website, obamacrimes.com, that the document is a phony. It's a fraud. It's been altered. First off, so when I filed I got a phone call at the beginning of August 2008 from an individual I've worked with for years, a young lady, Linda, and she said, Phil, have you heard about this Obama not being a natural-born citizen? I said, absolutely.
That's amazing. I don't think we'd get away with it, that's for sure. there has to be some pretty powerful people behind him to have him get to this far with this birth certificate thing. And it's obviously a lot of corruption and deals being made behind the scenes there.
Yes, definitely. And we're just having a conversation as that video was going on with some of the guests here. And yeah, some people believe this is a distraction in itself and there's something else going on behind closed doors. Anything is possible. I just started, the more I was looking into it, I seen more of a cover-up it was, and I see how the media was treating it. This isn't mainstream news. Alex Jones, he does his own show from his house. Some people say he's a part of the Illuminati. I don't know exactly what the deal is. I just know he covers a lot of things a lot of other newscasts and mainstream media aren't willing to cover. Same with Lou Dobbs. Lou Dobbs did give his notice. He is going to be leaving CNN. I think they're credible people. I think it's a big case, and because they went through such lengths to hide it up, I think it plays a significant factor, and it's especially what it's doing to our Constitution, and people have no idea about it. So it's like, let the people know. Maybe it'll lead to an awakening.
Well, too bad Lou Dobbs couldn't start his own news broadcast.
I think he's doing something of that nature. Like that.
Maybe he'll bring Cafferty on with him because he's pretty hard on these kinds of things too. We need those hard-nosed, old-fashioned news reporters that want to give us the real truth and give us some solutions along with it instead of all this hype, because this is just ridiculous. Yeah, if every constitutional thing that he signed is null and void, that's going to throw this whole country into a tizzy, because there's a lot of people that were against the things that he was signing, and there's a lot of people that were for, and that just puts a lot of more division in between us. So we buy into this whole thing. My whole thing is, it's good to be aware because knowledge is power, but now let's take back our power and go within our own self and see what direction we want to take, because if we follow the leader of one side or the other, we're going to be taken down the same path. I think of where, the sheep are getting slaughtered. Either, whatever the piper, whatever tune the piper is singing is not the tune. We need to get in touch with our hearts and connect them with our minds to come up with something that really feels real and legitimate in the direction that we want to move forward in our individual lives, because this is a whole web of lies, and there's a lot of people in power, and they will, believe me, start World War III if they have to, just so that they don't get found out, or they can continue to hold on to this power. And all this baloney that goes on and on and on forever. It's how all these big countries, big civilizations fall. And I feel like, it's like Rome falling, and they're fiddling with a little tune for us to dance to while our country collapses, right?
Yeah, it's like the leaders are basically like false prophets. And it's like, even back in the day in ancient cultures where they worshiped the gods and the gods would rule them, and, they were basically slaves to the gods. That's exactly how it is nowadays. It's just in an upgraded, later date. We're going through the same thing. They're totally controlling us. We treat these people on the media and these celebrities that people look up to, you treat them as gods. They're not gods. They don't have all the answers. They're actually misleading you. They're all a part of this hidden agenda. They're all a part of the same bloodline. So we need to see past that, see through that, see things for what they truly are, so we're not persuaded and we don't buy into the lie and, like you say, taking away our power.
Right, because what you find out about a lot of these people, they're really idiots behind the scenes there. They just know how to read well, and they look like they know what they're talking about, but they really don't follow their own advice even. If they're talking about religious leaders, or talking about saying celibate and being, a good family man, they're out there fooling around, or even having, heterosexual, bisexual, whatever kind of relationships. So all of this is just a distraction, I think, for where we need to be now with the shift